So I wanted to talk a lot about some of the things that I was doing when I had depersonalization derealization disorder. I've done a couple of different videos about that, but I wanted to delve into different areas that helped me in my recovery. I did a lot of different things to recover from depersonalization derealization disorder. I mean, I did diet, meditation. I did a lot of I guess kind of analysis of my past. That was big. I kind of changed the way I thought. But one of the big ones that helped me a lot was exercise. Exercise was a big. I exercised every single day, and I did cardio exercise. I did primarily I did biking, but I also ran some. Um, Occasionally, I would go swimming. Swimming was great, by the way, for deep because I think it's the sensation of having the when you go swimming, you're in the pool, so basically your entire body is covered with water, and it really gives you that sensation. I think is helpful sometimes to bring you out of your head. Anyway, I exercised a lot on a regular day. I would probably bike. I live in Seattle, so it's mountainous, and I would probably bike 8 9 miles, maybe less, maybe more. But it's a very uh, mountainous biking. So I was climbing big, big, big hills every day. Uh, Another thing I was doing was a lot of days I would also, even on top of that, would run. I was exercising as much as I possibly could. Sometimes I would go on long, long walks. That was another thing. If I kind of like meditate while I walk. But I feel like that was very, very important for getting me out of my head. I don't know how effective. I've seen people that have videos about weightlifting. Maybe that's effective. I thought I mostly stuck to the cardio workouts. One thing I will say, so there's a lot of nuance in what I was doing. There were times I was able to exercise before when I had personal issues, when I was depressed or something. I would exercise and I'd feel better. And when I had depersonalization, I remember one time very specifically where I ran 6 miles and it didn't help me at all. I basically had depersonalization when I started. I had depersonalization as I was running, I had depersonalization when it ended. So, and I really thought I could exercise my way out of it when my depersonalization reached its most serious moments, when I couldn't sleep and I had this like darkness, and I've talked about this before. I had probably a few times where it got to this really just um, occasion of blackness. It was just a horrible, horrible place to be. It was awful. And during those days, I had to do something. So my answer to that type of situation was that I would bike. I would bike, and I'd basically go all day. And I'm talking maybe 50 miles, hard miles, like up and down hills and stuff. And I don't have any some kind of like, people think about biking, people are like, oh, you got to have this, it's one of those things where if you go to a bike store, they'll tell you, you got to spend $10,000 before you can ever like do anything. Don't. I had an old bike. It was probably 15 years old. Loved that bike. Beautiful bike. Kona Fire Mountain, like a 96, before they put all that junk on it, when it was like the good, just real nice steel. Beautiful bike. And that's an old bike. It's probably worth next to nothing. And I just rode the hell out of it. So I rode all over, about 40 or 50 miles on those days. And that would break me out of my depersonalization. There was enough endorphins in those 7 or 8 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours of biking that, I mean, there were a few times that it really, really, I feel like it really, um, it saved me. It really honestly saved me that I could just go that far. So I wanted to get into detail about that. And I feel like if this is one of those things, and I've said this before, when you have this, you have to be a hero. You can't be a victim. You always have to be a hero. You got to approach it and try to do the things that you need to get through it, because having that hero mentality that like I can get out through this. Okay, I got to do this. I got to do that. That was really big. There was one day I just gave up. I mean, I really just like it was one of the worst days I ever had. In fact, it was the day right before. In fact, I remember this. It was the day right before I had one of those horrible nights. I just kind of like I can't do this anymore. I'm just gonna sit here in bed and I can get out. And it just didn't work. So anyway, that's in detail the type of exercise that I was doing, and I was doing it daily. I want to be real clear about that. And the other thing I want to be clear about too is it was not fun, especially the worst days were the days when I was really, really, really in it, when I was really in the just depths of depersonalization with panic attacks and all the rest of that. Those were some of the hardest workouts I've ever. I mean, I remember just dragging myself mile after mile after mile on the bike, and just I mean, it was brutal, but I eventually broke through that, and took a long time. But I just wanted to go into detail on what I was doing with the exercise when I had the depersonalization. Man, first thing I'm gonna do out of this quarantine is get a haircut because this is annoying me. Anyway, that's like just a little bit about what I'd like to say, and I never really, yeah. So anyway, good luck with that. That's kind of in detail what I was doing when I was exercising for depersonalization.